This video is about Amaterasu shines light over a dark cave until shadows consume her. If this myth excites you, please like the video, share it with friends, and write in the comments how it pulled you into the adventure. In the beginning, when the world was still a swirling tapestry of chaos, the celestial realm was ruled by Amaterasu, the radiant goddess of the sun. Her golden rays spilled across the heavens, illuminating the earth, bringing life to barren lands. Her laughter echoed through the valleys, and in her presence, joy bloomed like cherry blossoms in spring. Yet shadows lurked, waiting for the moment to strike. Jealousy brewed among the gods. Tsukuyomi, the god of the moon, admired his sister's beauty and power but felt overshadowed by her brilliance. With each dawn that broke, his envy grew, twisting into a darkness that even he struggled to comprehend. One fateful day, the heavens quaked as a dark cloud rolled over the sun, casting an eerie twilight across the land. From the abyss of shadows emerged an ancient monster, Yamatsukuni, the harbinger of death and despair, awakened by the discord among the gods. With ravenous hunger, it sought to consume Amaterasu light, plunging the world into eternal darkness. Amaterasu, sensing the tremors of destruction, summoned her celestial warriors, the Hikari no Senshi, the light warriors. Among them was Raijin, the thunder god, fierce and proud, wielding storms like a master painter. With him stood Fujin, the wind god, swift as a whisper, his laughter like a gentle breeze, yet capable of unleashing hurricanes. Goddess, we must act before darkness swallows the light. Raijin bellowed, his voice echoing like thunder across the realm. Amaterasu nodded, her heart heavy with the weight of destiny. We must confront Yamatsukuni. If we do not stand united, all will perish in shadows. The Hikari no Senshi prepared for battle, and together they descended from the heavens, light trailing behind them like comet tails. They arrived at the dark cave where Yamatsukuni dwelled, a gaping maw in the earth that breathed despair. Be vigilant, for this creature has devoured gods before, warned Fujin, his eyes scanning the shadows that writhed at the cave's mouth. As they entered, the air thickened with dread, and whispers of lost souls swirled around them. Amaterasu felt the weight of their sorrow, igniting her resolve. We will not let darkness claim another life. With a wave of her hand, light exploded from her fingertips, illuminating the cave with a brilliance that forced shadows to retreat. But Yamatsukuni was cunning. It thrived in darkness and roared as it sensed the encroaching light. Its form was a swirling mass of shadow, its eyes like burning coals filled with rage. With a guttural growl, Yamatsukuni lunged, teeth bared. You think your light can banish me? I am the darkness that will envelop your world. Raijin summoned thunder and lightning, striking the beast with a furious bow. The impact illuminated the cave, revealing grotesque features and endless hunger. But Yamatsukuni absorbed the power, laughing as it grew stronger. Your strength is futile, darkness feeds on light, and you will crumble. It mocked, shadows swirling around the warriors like a storm. Amaterasu, feeling the despair of her companions, focused on her inner light. Together, we must forge a beacon of hope, fight with honor, channel your strength into one final strike. With renewed determination, the Hikari no Senshi combined their powers, a blazing sphere of light forming over Amaterasu's hands. The cave quaked as they directed their energy toward Yamatsukuni, but the monster twisted and struck, dark tendrils lashing out like vipers. Fujin dodged, his agility a dance in the storm of chaos. We must hold our ground, he shouted. Stay true to the light. But shadows surged toward Amaterasu, and in a fleeting moment of vulnerability, they called around her, binding her spirit. Noth! Rage and roar, but it was too late. The darkness consumed her, pulling her into the depths of despair. Amaterasu, the warriors cried in unison, their hearts shattering like glass. The cave plunged into darkness, her light extinguished, leaving them grasping for hope in a world of shadows. Despair settled heavily upon them as they felt the grip of fear. The once mighty warriors looked at each other, resolute even in their grief. We cannot falter, Raijin asserted, breaking the silence like a clap of thunder. We will rescue her from the depths of darkness, Fujin vowed, determination igniting within his heart. We shall go deeper, through the abyss that holds her captive. Thus began their perilous quest, venturing into the dark heart of Yamatsukuni's lair, where fear whispered and darkness thrived. The air grew thick with desolation, and anguished cries echoed through the caverns, reminding them of the stakes. As they traversed the treacherous paths, they encountered grotesque beasts wrought from shadow, twisted forms that lunged at them with claws of despair. Each battle tested their resolve. Raijin wielded lightning with unmatched fury, electrifying the darkness that threatened to consume them. Fujin danced among the shadows, his swift moves leaving trails of wind that defied the gloom. Yet with each victory, Yamatsukuni grew more vengeful, summoning deeper, more horrific shadows to confront the light. Do not waver. Rachel shouted as they neared the heart of darkness. Amaterasu' light is with us. We shall not let her sacrifice be in vain. Through a labyrinth of despair, they fought, heartbeats echoing in a suffocating silence. They ventured deeper, where the air turned icy, and the shadows began to whisper their darkest fears. Doubt crept into their hearts, threatening to unravel their spirits. Do you feel it? Fujin whispered, his voice barely a breath. The weight of despair is heavy. Will we even find her? Raijin gripped his weapon tightly. We will not lose hope. Amaterasu' light lives within us. We must believe. At the core of the cave, a dim luminescence flickered, the beacon of hope amidst the shadows. There they found Amaterasu, ensnared in a web of darkness, her spirit flickering like a dying flame. Amaterasu, they cried, rushing to her side, but the shadows lashed out, fiercely defending their captive. Flee, you cannot save me. Amaterasu's voice rang with a mixture of despair and strength. The shadows have bound me, you cannot break their hold. But Raijin and Fujin refused to back down. We will never abandon you. Raijin roared, summoning his thunderous might, a storm brewing within his heart. Together, we will sever these bonds. As Raijin unleashed a tempest of lightning, Fujin maneuvered through the shadows, slicing away tendrils that constricted Amaterasu's essence. With each strike, hope flickered brighter, igniting the darkness around them. Yet Yamatsu-kuni roared in fury, surging forth, shadows coalescing into a monstrous form. You dare defy me, you will pay for this insolence, your life belongs to me. With a final surge of energy, the Light Warriors united all their powers into one blinding attack, aiming directly at the heart of Yamatsu-kuni. The cave trembled, and the shadows screamed in agony. As the surge of light collided with the dark beast, a cataclysmic explosion erupted, shattering the cavern, sending shockwaves through the very fabric of existence. In that moment, hope and despair clashed, destiny intertwined with sacrifice, echoing through the realms. And just as the dust began to settle, a radiant figure emerged from the shadows, a rebirth of light. Amaterasu stood, her essence restored, her aura dazzling brighter than before. The remnants of darkness fled, banished by the sheer will of hope. We have fought and endured together, she declared, her voice like the dawn breaking. For this, we shall never forget the power of unity and the light that binds us. The shadows that once threatened to consume them retreated into the abyss, vanquished by the indomitable spirit of the gods. Yet lingering in the back of their minds was the knowledge that darkness would always seek to rise again. Though we have triumphed today, our battle is far from over, Amaterasu spoke solemnly, gazing at her warriors with pride. Let us forge a new destiny together, while light and dark dance in eternal balance. United, the Hikari no Senshi emerged from the cave, forever changed by their trials, their hearts intertwined with the spirit of honor, perseverance, and the eternal struggle against despair. They had faced the shadows, and though they knew darkness still lurked, they had reignited the flame of hope, a light that would shine against the inevitable shadows of fate. The echoes of their victory would resonate throughout the realms, a tale woven into the fabric of the universe, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, the light of hope would always guide the way. And so, as Amaterasu rose high in the sky, shining for all to see, she vowed to protect her realm. As Amaterasu ascended into the radiant heavens, she felt a profound change within her. The shadows of Yamatsu-kuni had not merely tested her body but had seeped into her spirit, leaving behind traces of darkness that whispered unsettling truths. Yet, as she spread her arms, the light burst forth, escaping across lands that still bore the scars of despair. The echoes of the battle reverberated in her mind, an eternal reminder of the thin line between light and dark. But harmony was fleeting. Across the celestial expanse, Tsukumi's jealousy festered, twisting into a venomous resolve. In the dusk of twilight, he gathered dark forces beneath the pale moon, plotting his sister's downfall. If she draws life from the heavens, he spoke to the shadows that writhed around him, then I shall cloak this world in eternal night. She will understand the price of her brilliance. Meanwhile, Amaterasu summoned her warriors, standing atop the highest celestial mountain, where the winds carried their whispers to the universe. Raijin and Fujin joined her, their hearts still thrumming from the battle they had narrowly won. They sensed a shift, an ominous presence loomed beyond the horizon. The goddess, your light grows stronger, yet shadows gather. Raijin noted, his brow furrowing as he watched the distant clouds swirl with darkness. We must prepare for what is to come. Fujin, ever perceptive, squinted into the twilight. The air is thick with malice, something stirs beneath the surface. Tsukuyomi plots even now. Amaterasu nodded, her heart heavy with the realization. We must seek counsel from the ancient spirits of the realm. They hold knowledge of the balance between light and darkness. With a resolute spirit, the trio set forth on their journey to the sacred grove of Yggdrasil. This ancient tree, its roots entwined with realms beyond imagination, was said to house the whispers of gods long gone. The path was fraught with challenges, for shadows prowled beneath the canopy, hungry for the light. As they traversed through the forest, the air crackled with tension. Each rustle of leaves echoed like a heartbeat of an unseen predator. "Stay vigilant," Amaterasu warned, her voice slicing through the ominous silence. Suddenly, a pack of shadow wolves lunged from the underbrush, their eyes gleaming with contempt. "Fight, warriors!" Raijin commanded, summoning his storms. Thunder cracked across the sky, bright blue lightning illuminating the night. The wolves momentarily hesitated, but their ferocity returned, emboldened by the darkness that shrouded them. Fujin danced around the beasts, a whirlwind of defiance. As he struck, gusts of wind tore through the trees, sending the wolves tumbling into the air. Despite their ferocity, the creatures were no match for the light warriors. Amaterasu illuminated their surroundings, her aura radiant against the encroaching gloom. "Feel the warmth of the sun," she exclaimed, her voice ringing like a bell. As the wolves faltered, Raijin unleashed his fury, bolts of lightning striking true, sending the creatures howling back into the shadows from whence they came. "Wamod!" Amaterasu cried, and they pressed toward Yggdrasil, where the tree stood sentinel against the darkness. Upon reaching its base, the immense trunk glowed faintly, throbbing with the rhythm of life. "Spirits of Yggdrasil," Amaterasu invoked, her voice strong yet respectful. "We seek your wisdom in these dark times." From the bark of the tree, ancient voices spoke, resonating through the air like a haunting melody. "The balance is threatened. Tsukuyomi envy festers. He will unleash terror upon the world, seeking to extinguish the light." Raijin's fists clenched. "Then we must confront him before he strikes. Beware," the spirits warned. "The moon weaves illusions. Trust not your eyes, for shadows may deceive even the purest of hearts." With newfound urgency, Amaterasu and her warriors departed the grove, understanding the stakes. The balance of the world hung in the balance, and Tsukuyomi's wrath would not rest until Amaterasu was shrouded in eternal darkness. They made their way to the sacred moonstone, a radiant gem said to hold the essence of Tsukuyomi's power. It flickered in the distance, casting a silvery glow over an open clearing, a beacon of hope against the encroaching shadows. "There!" Fujin whispered, his instinct sharp. But as they approached, a chilling breeze swept through the field, and the moon above shifted, casting strange shadows that writhed and twisted. "This is his trap." Amaterasu realized, the weight of dread settling over her. Tsukuyomi emerged from the shadows, his figure cloaked in midnight blue, the moonlight glinting ominously off his silver hair. "Dear sister," he intoned, his voice smooth yet laced with venom, "how fitting that you come to claim your demise." "Enough of this madness, brother!" Amaterasu shouted, a light around her pulsing with defiance. "You waste your potential on envy, join me instead, and we can illuminate the world together." "Light is a fleeting illusion, Amaterasu. It is the moon that remains constant, that holds sway over the tides of fate," Tsukuyomi responded, shadows swirling around him, taking form as nightmarish beasts. The shadow beasts charged, howling with fury, but Raijin was already in motion, calling forth thunder. "Stand firm, warriors, together, we shall prevail." He unleashed a barrage of lightning that illuminated the battlefield, striking down the first wave of beasts. Fujin whirled through the chaos, dodging claws and snapping jaws, cutting through the shadows with his sheer speed. "Do not let the darkness overwhelm you," he urged, deflecting a beast that lunged for Amaterasu. But Tsukuyomi was relentless, weaving illusions that blurred the boundary of reality. Silvery phantoms emerged, echoing their deepest fears and insecurities. "Look around you, sister, you warriors falter. The shadows relish in your impending doom." For a moment, doubt gnawed at Amaterasu' heart. She recalled the depths of her own despair within Yamatsu Kuni's lair. But she took a deep breath, summoning the strength that pulsed within her. "No, I will not yield to your darkness." With a surge of power, she transformed her light into a brilliant shield, casting away the illusions that threatened to overwhelm her. "You are stronger than this, my friends. Remember our unity." Raijin and Fujin rallied, their spirits ignited by Amaterasu's resolute light. They charged forward, striking down phantoms and beasts alike. But Tsukuyomi was cunning, his laughter echoing like a death knell. "You think mere strength can overcome destiny? I will unleash the full might of darkness." The ground trembled as he summoned a vortex of shadows, an abyss that threatened to consume everything in its path. "Embrace the night, for it is inevitable." In that moment of crisis, Amaterasu felt the weight of her destiny. She remembered the spirits of Yggdrasil and their warning. I will not let you decide our fate, she yelled, raising her arms to the sky. Light is not just a force, it is a choice. The heavens responded, and a celestial surge flowed through her, enveloping her in radiant energy. Together, she cried to her warriors, drawing them close. We shall forge our destiny. With their powers united, a beacon of light erupted from the core of their being, cascading across the battlefield. Tsukuyomi-esque shadows recoiled, howling in agony as light pierced through the darkness. Absorb this, brother! Amaterasu shouted as she unleashed the full force of their combined strength. The brilliance enveloped Tsukuyomi, the shadows he commanded disintegrating under the fire of their hope. No, this cannot be, he screamed as the light consumed him, casting him into a void of shimmering stars. The battlefield shimmered, light banishing the remaining shadows as Amaterasu stood at the forefront, breathless yet triumphant. You may have wielded darkness, Tsukuyomi, but light is resilient. We will protect this realm together, not as enemies but as family. As the echoes of the battle faded, the celestial realm glowed with renewed vigor. Amaterasu and her warriors had faced the darkness, standing steadfast in the face of betrayal, doubt, and despair. They emerged victorious, their hearts bound by the trials they had endured. Yet, as they gathered beneath the warmth of the sun, Amaterasu understood that balance was fragile. The darkness will always seek to rise, she reflected, gazing at her comrades, but as long as we stand united, we can illuminate even the deepest shadows. Raijin nodded solemnly, his eyes reflecting the fire of battle. We shall train, we shall prepare, the balance must be maintained. Fujin smiled, a glimmer of hope dancing in his eyes. Together, we will soar through the dark skies, a tempest of light against the night. Thus, the legend of Amaterasu and her warriors unfolded a tale of. In the luminous glow of dawn, the celestial realm pulsed with renewed vigor. Amaterasu, the goddess of the sun, bathed the world in her warm embrace, yet her heart remained heavy. The shadows of doubt lingered, echoes of the past battle swirling like autumn leaves caught in a tempest. She gathered her warriors at the summit of Takamagahara, the sacred plain where the earth met the heavens, the air thick with unspoken fears. Once more, we stand together, she began, her voice steady, infused with the brilliance of her spirit. But the shadows we vanquished have not been permanently extinguished. My brother's envy has taken root, and we must remain vigilant. Raijin, the thunder god, stepped forward, the air crackling with his energy. Then we must train harder. We cannot allow our hearts to falter. Tsukuyomi may be my blood, but I shall not let his darkness consume us. Fujin, the wind god, nodded, his laughter now tempered with understanding. We are the light's guardians, and we shall not waver. Let us fortify our strengths, harness our powers, and prepare for whatever darkness dares to rise again. As they forged a plan, the skies above them darkened, an omen of the storm brewing. The winds howled, foretelling of an impending conflict that resonated with the very essence of the cosmos. Amaterasu closed her eyes, feeling the pulse of the universe, an echo of a warning only she could discern. Brothers, something stirs within the realm, she whispered, her brow etched with concern. The balance has shifted. I sense Tsukuyomi rallying forces beyond our comprehension. As if summoned by her words, a shadowy figure emerged from the depths of the clouds, coalescing into a monstrous form, a creature born from Tsukuyomi's deepest rage, a serpent of darkness named Kurogami. With scales like midnight, its eyes glowed with an insatiable hunger for the light of Amaterasu. Goddess of the sun, it hissed, its voice a chilling whisper that slithered through the air like a venomous breeze. Your light shall be extinguished, and with it your precious realm shall fall into eternal night. F. Raijin bellowed, his voice resonating like thunder, his warrior spirit ignited. We will not yield to your darkness. The battle that ensued was a cataclysmic clash of light and shadow. Amaterasu summoned rays of golden light, illuminating the battlefield with brilliance, while Kurogami retaliated with tendrils of darkness that sought to ensnare her. Strike true, Amaterasu commanded, her voice carrying the weight of divine authority. We must sever the ties of shadow. Raijin charged forward, calling forth a storm that crackled in the air, lightning piercing through the gloom. He unleashed a torrent of energy, striking Kurogami with unrelenting force, illuminating the battlefield with each explosion. Fujin whirled around the serpent, his laughter ringing out like a melody amidst chaos. Dance with the winds, my friend, he shouted as he created gusts that tore through the shadows. Let freedom guide your strikes. But Kurogami was relentless, its serpentine form coiling around the warriors with ferocious speed. You think your light and winds can save you, they taunted, deflecting their blows with ease. I am born of darkness, I thrive in despair. Amaterasu felt the weight of her destiny pressing down upon her if they were to prevail. they needed to draw upon the strength of their bonds. Together, channel your spirits into one force, she cried, her voice ringing with urgency as she summoned her inner light. Let it break the chains of darkness. With a collective roar, Reijin and Fujin joined their powers with Amaterasu, their light merging into a blinding sphere that pulsed with intense energy. The very essence of the sun radiated in an explosion of brilliance that illuminated the darkest corners of the realm. Feel the warmth of unity, Amaterasu exclaimed, lifting the sphere high above her head as shadows writhed in fear. We are stronger than despair. Kurogami recoiled, sensing the threat of their combined might. You will regret this, it howled as it lashed out, sending waves of darkness hurtling toward the warriors. But they stood firm, unyielding in the face of terror. With a deafening roar, they unleashed their united light, a radiant beam that cut through the darkness, piercing Kurogami's heart. The serpent writhed in agony, shadows dissipating around it like mist under the sun. No, they held, its form disintegrating into the ether, shadows banished by the sheer force of their collective strength. As the battlefield fell silent, the triumphant glow of Amaterasu enveloped the land, illuminating every shadowy corner. The air hummed with the remnants of their victory, yet the warriors sensed that their brother was not far behind. Tsukuyomi's wrath would not be so easily quelled. We've won this battle, Reijin spoke, his voice filled with a fierce pride. But the war is far from over. We must prepare for Tsukuyomi's retribution. Amaterasu nodded, her heart heavy. He will come, and he alone be stronger, fueled by his envy. We must seek the counsel of the ancient spirits once more, for they hold the knowledge we need to protect the light. The trio journeyed back to Yggdrasil, the sacred tree that bridged worlds and guarded secrets. The pathway was fraught with shadows, the air thick with oppressive silence, as though the very realm mourned the encroaching darkness. Upon reaching Sacred Grove, they called out to the spirits, their hearts filled with urgency. Guide us, ancient ones, we seek your wisdom against the darkness that approaches. The tree throbbed with life, and from its roots, whispers echoed faint but powerful. The balance is fragile, the ancient spirits warn, their voices resonating like a choral hymn. Tsukuyomi's darkness can only be countered by a light born of sacrifice. Trust in your bonds, but know that a heavy price must be paid. What sacrifice? Fujin queried, his spirit trembling at the implications. To wield the light against the shadows, one must relinquish a part of their essence, the spirits replied. Only then can the celestial balance be restored. Amaterasu felt a deep chill settle in her heart, her mind racing with the implications. I will not let my warriors sacrifice their light, we will find another way. But the whispers continued, the shadows will consume, and darkness thrives on fear. Only through understanding sacrifice can you truly protect what you cherish. The warriors exchanged glances, a silent understanding passing among them. If one must fall, Reijin spoke, his voice heavy with resolve. Let it be me. I will stand against Tsukuyomi's wrath, for the light of Amaterasu is worth any price. Enough! Amaterasu cried, tears glistening in her eyes. You cannot, we are stronger together. We are, but if it ensures your survival, I will not falter, he replied, his expression fierce yet pained. I have always been the storm, I will embrace the winds of fate. Before Amaterasu could protest, Fujin stepped forward, his eyes shimmering with determination. If there is to be a sacrifice, let it be mine. I am the wind, and I can dance between the realms. I will shield you from the night. None of you shall fall, we are bound by light, and I will find a way. Amaterasu's voice trembled, reflecting the tempest of emotions within her. I will not let darkness tear us apart. But the spirit's whispers grew louder, an urgent chant resonating through the grove. The path ahead is wrought with peril. One must be willing to sacrifice their light for the greater good. A sudden realization struck Amaterasu as she gazed at her warriors, the spirits entwined with hers. Then let us all share in the sacrifice. Together, we will forge a new path. With hands clasped together, they summoned their energies, pouring their light into one radiant sphere, an amalgamation of hope, strength, and unity. The air crackled as they focused their intention, the warmth of their bond igniting a blazing brilliance that illuminated the night. Let our essence protect the light, Amaterasu declared, her voice resonating with divine power. May our sacrifice weave a shield against the shadows. As the light surged forth, the shadows quaked, and the darkness that threatened to swallow them shrank back, howling in fear. In that moment, a rift opened, revealing the realm beyond, a celestial expanse where light danced with shadows, where balance could be restored. But as the light surged higher, a price was exacted, and the warriors felt pieces of their essence detach, drawn into the sphere, and with it came a bittersweet ache that echoed through their hearts. Together, Amaterasu cried, their voices uniting in an anthem of defiance against the darkness. the brilliance soared, enveloping their surroundings, illuminating even the darkest corners of the realm. Yet, as the shadows recoiled, the warriors felt the weight of their sacrifice, an emptiness settling deep within their spirits. And then, in the blinding brilliance, the realm shifted, and a celestial gate emerged from the heart of the explosion, a cosmic portal that thrummed with energy. Amaterasu, surrounded by her warriors, felt a surge of both elation and sorrow. They had forged a bond stronger than any darkness, but in the act of creation, they had torn pieces of themselves away. Now, we stand at the threshold of destiny, Amaterasu spoke, her voice firm but laced with an undercurrent of pain. She could sense the tremors of fate quaking beneath her feet, the echoes of their shared sacrifice weighing heavily upon her heart. We must step through together and face my brother, Tsukayomi. Balance must be restored. Raijin, still feeling the remnants of a collective light coursing through his veins, nodded resolutely. I will not falter, goddess. We have come too far to allow shadows to encroach upon our world once more. Fujin, his laughter tinged with a bittersweet echo, looked at Amaterasu with fierce determination. Let us embrace whatever challenges await. We have already faced the abyss and emerged stronger. Together, we are unstoppable. With a deep breath, Amaterasu took the first step through the shimmering portal, and her warriors followed suit. The moment they crossed the threshold, the air shifted, morphing around them into a landscape beyond imagination, a celestial realm where darkness intertwined with starlight and shadows danced among the constellations. What lay before them was a vast expanse of night, illuminated by 1,000 distant stars. Ethereal creatures roamed the void, their forms shifting between light and shadow. A profound silence surrounded them, broken only by the whisper of the cosmos. It was beautiful, haunting, and fraught with danger. Do you feel that? Raijin whispered, his senses heightened. The shadows are alive here, swelling like living nightmares. Tsukayomi's power is palpable. Amaterasu surveyed the eerie beauty, her heart pounding as she felt a familiar presence. He is near. We must stay vigilant. Tsukayomi is cunning. He will use these shadows to his advantage. As they ventured deeper into the darkness, the shadows began to morph, coalescing into nightmarish figures, twisted reflections of their own fears. Horrific specters rose before them, embodying their insecurities and doubts. Face your fears, Amaterasu commanded, her voice strong. Together, we can banish these illusions. The first beast lunged at Fujin, a monstrous creature born from the very essence of his insecurity. It was a shadowy figure with claws like daggers, howling with echoes of doubt. You're but a fleeting breeze in a storm of shadows that roared, an echo of Tsukayomi's voice reverberating through the void. Fujin, heart pounding, sidestepped the creature with agility, his laughter ringing through the darkness. I am the wind that carries the light. You cannot defeat me. He struck with a flurry of wind, slicing through the shadow with the grace of a dancer. Raijin charged forward, his powerful fist crackling with energy. Shadows swirled around him, morphing into monstrous beasts that sought to engulf him in despair. You think you can distract me? I am thunder incarnate, he thundered, slamming his fists into the ground, summoning a tempest of lightning that illuminated the darkness. With each strike, the warriors banished the manifestations of their fears, but the shadows were relentless, reforming and returning for another assault. Amaterasu felt the weight of despair creeping in, the shadows whispering doubts that clawed at her resolve. Amaterasu, a voice intoned from the depths of darkness, a voice she recognized all too well. Tsukayomi emerged, cloaked in the midnight hues of the universe. You are a fool to think you can save this realm. Light cannot exist without darkness, and I will consume your brilliance. Brother! Amaterasu shouted, her voice filled with both challenge and sorrow. This madness must end. You do not need to become this monster. Join me, and we can restore the balance together. Tsukayomi laughed, a chilling sound that echoed through the void. Balance, you've always been the favorite, the light that blinds. I will show you the true nature of darkness. With a wave of his hand, the shadows surged, forming monstrous beasts that lunged towards the warriors. Amaterasu summoned her light, a radiant aura that enveloped her companions, but even as their power surged, the shadows pressed in, a tide of despair threatening to overwhelm them. Stand firm, Raijin shouted, rallying his fellow warriors. We will not yield. Together, they formed a circle, channeling their remaining strength into a barrier of light that surged outward, forcing back the shadows. Amaterasu felt the weight of her sacrifice, the light within her flickering dangerously. We must strike now, while he is vulnerable. Fujin, ever the nimble spirit, darted around Tsukayomi, his movements a blur as he created gusts of wind that disoriented the dark god. Your shadows cannot touch us. We are the guardians of the light. With a roar of fury, Tsukuyomi unleashed a wave of darkness, attempting to engulf them completely. You think your unity can withstand the might of the night? I am the eclipse. I am the end of your light. But Amaterasu would not be swayed. No, we are more than just warriors, we are family, she declared, raising her arms high, channeling the remnants of their sacrifice into one final act of defiance. Light is not just a force, it is a choice, and I choose to fight. A brilliant beam of golden light erupted from her fingertips, expanding outward and illuminating the darkness. The shadows shrieked in agony, recoiling from the brilliance of their combined essence. The air crackled with energy, and the cosmos trembled as their bond surged forth. Together! Amaterasu cried, her voice resonating with the strength of their collective spirit. Let our light banish the shadows. With one final push, they unleashed their energy, a blinding sphere of light that surged towards Tsukuyomi. No, this cannot be, he screamed, shadows swirling around him, desperate to absorb the light. But it was too late. The explosion of light consumed him, piercing through the veil of darkness, illuminating the very fabric of reality. The echoes of their sacrifice reverberated through the cosmos, creating a cascade of brilliance that washed over the realm. As the light engulfed him, Tsukuyomi's form began to dissolve, the shadows that had once given him power dissipating like mist in the sun. I will return, he howled, a promise laced with venom as his essence was scattered among the stars. The battlefield fell silent, the warriors breathless as they stood amidst the residual glow of their victory. The shadows had been banished, but the cost weighed heavily upon them. Each of them felt the emptiness where their essence had been drawn from, a bittersweet reminder of what they had sacrificed. Though we have defeated him, we have lost a part of ourselves, Amaterasu spoke softly, her heart aching for the bond they had forged. But together, we can heal and restore what was lost. Raijin and Fujin nodded, their eyes reflecting the light of their shared spirit. We will rebuild, Raijin vowed, his voice filled with determination. Our bond is stronger than any shadow. Fujin smiled, his laughter returning, though tinged with sadness. And we will dance through the skies once more, weaving the light into the very fabric of existence. As the celestial realm bathed in the dawn of a new light, Amaterasu gazed at the horizon, her heart filled with hope. We are the guardians of both light and dark. Together, we will forge a new destiny, one where shadows can coexist with the brilliance of the sun. And so, the legend of Amaterasu and her warriors echoed throughout the realms, a tale of sacrifice, unity, and the eternal struggle against despair. They emerged not just as warriors, but as symbols of hope, bound together by the light they had created, ready to face whatever trials lay ahead. For as long as they stood together, light would always shine through the darkness.